Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us, coming to you from Washington's premier indoor shooting facility. Of course, that is Security Gun Club right here in Woodinville, Washington. Hey, even though we're called Washington Gun Law, we spend a lot of time talking about other states. And there are a few usual suspects that always seem to pop up. Now, when it comes to perhaps the most unconstitutional gun laws, well, that's the state of California. And when it comes to the most evil and nefarious gun laws, well, that's the state of Illinois. But when it comes to absolutely the dumbest, the most ludicrous, the most ridiculous gun laws that you will ever find, well, that's the state of New York. And we have talked before about many of the dumb ideas that the state of New York or New York City have come up with. Well, they have really taken the cake this time. There is a new piece of legislation that will regulate items that you might be able to buy at Best Buy, but you'll need to fill out a Form 4473. Don't believe me? Well, let's spend a few minutes. Let's get you acquainted with a new bill that's kicking around in Albany, and let's talk about New York proposes its dumbest gun law yet, and that's saying something. Okay, so here's what we're talking about today, New York. Hey, great idea kicking around in Albany. That is Assembly Bill 8132. It is sponsored by Representative Raj Kumar. And how is this going to save lives? Oh my God, New York, this is going to save so many lives, because this bill, if enacted into legislation, would require that all New York residents pass a background check before they can purchase a 3D printer. I'm not joking. That is exactly what this legislation says. Now, I actually pulled the bill straight off the New York legislative website. So first of all, the summary of the bill reads, would require a criminal history background check for the purchase of a three-dimensional printer capable of creating firearms, prohibit sales to a person who would be disqualified on the basis of criminal history from being granted a license to possess a firearm. Now, that's the summary of the bill, and it seems pretty ridiculous. But when you actually read the text of the bill, well, you realize it's even more insane. The first section of the bill reads as follows. The general business law is amended by adding a new section to read as follows. Sale of certain three-dimensional printers. 1. Any retailer of a three-dimensional printer sold in this state which is capable of printing a firearm or any components of a firearm is required and authorized to request and receive criminal history information concerning such purchaser from the Division of Criminal Justice Services in accordance with the provisions of Section 845(8) of the Executive Law. The Division of Criminal Justice Services is authorized to submit fingerprints to the Federal Bureau of Investigation for a national criminal history record check. That's right. You are literally going to be buying a 3D printer, and you will be going through almost the same process as buying an NFA item. What's the second section of the bill say? Well, it says this. Within 15 business days after receiving a request for criminal history information pursuant to this section, the Commissioner of the Division of Criminal Justice Services shall review such criminal history information and determine whether such purchaser has been convicted anywhere of a felony or a serious offense, or who is not subject of an outstanding warrant or arrest issued upon the alleged commission of a felony or serious offense which would disqualify such individual from being licensed to carry or possess a firearm under New York laws. Okay. I'm not making this up. We're going to link it all down below so that you can see it for yourself. But this state legislator in Albany believes that Best Buy, Staples, Costco, or any other place where you could buy a 3D printer is now going to have to conduct complete background checks as if they were selling you a semi-automatic rifle. And that somehow this is the solution to New York's gun violence problem. Now, even though the summary of the bill says it's a printer capable of printing a 3D firearm, no. When you actually read the full bill, it's capable of printing any component. And although I am not a 3D printing expert, I can assume that a lot of components a lot of firearm components could easily be printed with just a rudimentary 3D printer. So once again, the legislation is Assembly Bill A8132. We will link it all up for you down below, since you probably are likely going to think that this is an early April Fool's joke. We will certainly keep our eyes on this. This is New York, so it wouldn't shock us if this thing actually gains some momentum. In the meantime, if you guys got any questions about what's left of your Second Amendment rights, or what laws we could pass that actually might solve some of America's violence problems, you should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. But if you don't, that's okay. That information is right down there in the description box. Now, in the meantime, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation, how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.